Reno, Nevada, May 13th, 2020.
A 911 call alerts police to a shooting at a city center motel.
911, what's the address to the emergency? I don't know, everybody shocked and we all came out. And in the room next to me, I kept hearing kids screaming. Finally, we banged on the door and they opened the door. There's a lady shot in. Did you say someone was shot? Yes, she's shot in the head, she's dead.
Officers soon established that the shooting noises have come from room 127.
So 127 was dark, there wasn't a lot of lights in there. So we had to turn on our flashlights to clear the room. That's the first room that I saw. And then the conjoining door to 126 was open, so I was able to see into 126.
The first responding patrol officers, they saw the victim in the bed.
And it was very apparent that the injuries she had sustained, that she had passed.
It was immediately clear that the victim had been shot multiple times.
She had multiple bullet wounds. I specifically remember she had bullet wounds to her legs that were bleeding very bad, and it was very severe because she was very, very brutalized.
But there's more. Officers make a shocking discovery.
What turned out to be her two young sons, who were 7 and 5 at the time, they had exited the room afterwards and went to, there was a very nice lady, totally unrelated, who was in the room next door, and she took the two boys in and called 911 and was with them until police arrived, comforting them.
What happened to her was extremely tragic. It's more so internalizing what those poor little boys saw and what they went through. I know one of the officers brought the little boys into the ambulance to swab their blood. We have to get all the evidence that we can. And the older brother was telling his little brother how much he loves him. So that right there, these poor little boys just saw the one person who's the most important to them, the one person that's supposed to protect them. They just saw her be completely brutalized.
The two boys provide police with some distressing information about what they saw in the motel room.
They saw mommy getting shot, mommy getting hurt. It was a bad guy. The bad guy did it. The bad guy shot mommy. And they were covered in blood. So it was apparent, too, that they had crawled in bed with her afterwards, after she had been shot. One of the little boys had a burn mark on his back from the casings falling onto his back. Another comment that she mentioned was that one of the little boys said he played dead in the bed so that way bad guy wouldn't shoot him, too.
You hate to say they're lucky from what they went through, right? But they're lucky that they were not seriously hurt beyond that burn mark.
I mean, without getting too personal, these were two very young boys, and I had a young boy of my own that was similar age, and I couldn't imagine that there was no family around. They had just witnessed this horrific incident, and they had no one.
Investigators learned the victim was Lynette Lozano.
I really looked up to her, I just remember anything Lynette did, I wanted to try it, or I wanted to do. She always was protective, always looked out for us. Lynette gave birth to her first child 7 days after she turned 18. She stayed a few years in Alturas. She was working, she was doing really well. And then when she moved to San Diego, she moved in with her first husband, and they started their family.
This young couple had 2 kids together, but Lynette struggled when her husband, a Marine, was deployed overseas.
After he went over to Japan, Lynette was staying at base. Her friends were calling me saying she's on meth and she's acting kind of crazy and stuff.
We went to go find Lynette, and that's when happened upon what you would describe as a crack house. When we found my sister, it wasn't her. You could tell she was using drugs. My niece and nephew were in the back of this vehicle, filthy. My nephew at the time had a really soggy diaper on him, was drinking old rotten milk. My sister had marks and bruises on her. Looking back, I was like, oh man, those are track marks. She's shooting up, she's using.
I took both the kids and had them, and then their dad came home about 7, 8 months later, and he came up and I told him, I said, hey, get your house, get everything, and you can take the kids. And At that time, she did get arrested. She got arrested for embezzling because apparently she was really good on computers. The charges were, for stealing money off of businesses and stuff.
My preliminary steps, I walked around the scene, identified the location of the rooms. I examined the exterior of the doors and saw that there was no apparent forced entry into the room. It didn't appear that there was forced entry through the windows.
They found 23 fired cartridge cases, which were discharged during the shooting. That was on the floor in between the two beds, so it's your standard hotel room with 2 queen-size beds. Lynette was in one bed. The 2 boys were in the other bed.
When we examined some of those rounds, I found that they were 7.62 millimeter, which is typically associated with AK firearms or their offshoots.
Police were able to make some assumptions about Lynette's final moments from what they found beside her. It was clear she had been taken by surprise by her killer.
When we began to examine the bed that Miss Lozano was located on, we found a book. And interestingly, the book front cover had a defect that appeared to be a bullet hole through the cover, and it exited about halfway through the book. It didn't go through the back of the book. Room 127 was registered to Lamar Adams. When I dug a little bit deeper through the registration records, it was interesting in that about 2 weeks prior to the homicide, Lynette Lozano and Lamar Adams checked into the same room. They were initially staying both in 126.
She moved to Susanville to be with a man who was a registered sex offender.
I started to research Miss Lozano on social media. She had posted about a month earlier a GoFundMe, and the GoFundMe was set up by her, and it requested assistance as she was trying to escape a domestic situation. Lamar told him that he wanted to sell the van because people were after him, and that he offered to sell it to him for $1,000, which Mr. Hargrove took him up on the offer. When I asked Mr. Hargrove, as he had previously told me that he was a drug addict and homeless, how he came to be in possession of $1,000, his story started to fall apart a little bit. I think he thought maybe it was a stolen car.
It was a couple days later. Highway Patrol had been out on a stolen vehicle. They called for assistance. I was part of the group of officers that went to help out.
Nevada Highway Patrol, let me see your hands. Let me see your hands. Slowly open that door. All right, as of right now, you're being detained until I figure out what's going on, okay? Appreciate you being cooperative, all right?
Hey man, what's your name real quick?
My name is Lamar Adams.
Lamar Adams?
Yeah. All right, you're not under arrest or anything? Okay, I'm just gonna read you your Miranda rights so you know your rights. You're under arrest? All right, we'll get to that in a minute. Let me explain to you your rights, okay? You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can't be used against you in a court of law. You have the right to the presence of an attorney. You cannot afford an attorney. One will be appointed to you before questioning. Do you understand these rights? You still want to talk to me? Okay.
I came back here.
Numerous witnesses there had described 2 shooting events. They described hearing shots, a pause, and then more shots. We pressed them on that issue, and that's when the real side of Lamar came out.
They tell me that they hear shots, then a pause, then more shots. Because I ran into the door. Okay, you know what I'm saying? I told you everything. I don't have nothing to hide. It doesn't matter if I ran your living room. I told you I killed it. Okay. So what else is there to have an attitude about? We still have to do a thorough investigation. We did not investigate, but I tell you I'm the one that did it. I didn't come here with some bullshit story about, I didn't know this and that. Did I? You 100% ran to the door. Your hand's right there. Why not just keep going and leave? But I heard some more shit. What did you hear? I heard like somebody moving around. I didn't know if I had shot the person under the bed.
Law enforcement wastes no time in charging Lamar Adams with murder.
So charged murder with the use of a deadly weapon. Charged count 2, child endangerment with the use of a deadly weapon, being the basis that he shot 23 times, killed Lynette.
The case never went to trial. He pled guilty. He knew he was wrong. Yeah, he admitted that, and he didn't drag it out and drag the family through it because it's traumatic.
It's tragic, it's sad, it's horrible. You couple that with his violent criminal history, his history of weapons, his sentence is life. He's ordered to serve the rest of his life in prison. He's eligible for parole in 33 years.